Spoke to Mr. Lesiba Mothata, chief economist from Investment Solutions, and she started by asking him to explain the significance behind Fitch and S&P's downgrading us to junk status.
When corporates, big banks, namely Citibank, JP Morgan, Vanguard, etc., when they create these indices, they're very specific in terms of what type of ratings they want in the index, what type of liquidity in that bond market, what size, all those coming together to create the inclusion of a particular country in those indices. SA got included largely because of its investment grade, its liquid markets, and also because it had other open market structure.
So as I understand, some big institutions basically have rules. They cannot invest vulnerable pension money in junk status bonds. So this means that we could have a pullout, and we're seeing JP Morgan already saying that it won't list us. Roughly $49 billion worth of South African bonds are benchmarked on its investment grade only emerging market bond indices. 10 billion rand of debt linked to its global bond index emerging market indices. So suddenly we're going to see a whole lot of announcements like this.
This is problematic. And it will.
How big is this when JP Morgan says, sorry, we're not going to list your bonds?
This is huge. 49 billion rands out of a market cap of about 80 billion. It's problematic.
Sure.
However, we'll be waiting for Citibank and other banks to follow suit. They're looking at the local component that is issued in rands, and they're actually very specific. They normally say it's when S&P's and Moody's, one of the two, downgrades. Fitch rarely features there, but needless to say,
because Fitch is a smaller rating agency.
It's the most smaller rating, and these things have been formulated well in advance. It was fledgling and it was just coming up throughout the years, but for the longest time there have always been Moody's and S&P's. I'm a little concerned, and my concerns around when Moody's says we'll give you 30 days up to 90 days could prove ominous. What if they want to look at this and see whether quality is good enough? I'm not ruling out a 2-notch downgrade, which would put us into junk power 3.
Right. Yeah, because we've always thought Moody's is more optimistic about South Africa. It rates us higher than the others, but you're saying we could see something quite dramatic.
It is a likelihood that is no longer a smaller probability in my mind, but this has increased quite substantially. They were scheduled to make a decision today, so they say we'll give you 30 days. That's ominous. They could come with a 2-notch downgrade.
Sure. So this is huge, and everybody's been talking about how terrible junk status is. The rand hardly reacted, though. The JSE down very slightly. Why are we not seeing that reaction?
Because of the peculiarity of our country. When you look at all the other ratings that got put into non-investment grade, in Brazil lately, in Russia a few years ago when oil halved in value, and even much earlier on in history when Mexico had the tequila crisis, and Brazil even earlier that time had a banking crisis. When you compare the economic outcome then and what is happening in SA, they're actually not quite consistent. This SA outcome is more induced internally, and the armed forces that are forcing us to actually be here, we're self-inducing it ourselves. Now, when you look at
even worse.
but the key here is that with all these other countries at that time when they got downgraded, they did not have fiscal policy in their hands. They lost fiscal policy. That means they weren't able to hike taxes and respond. Notwithstanding that, they had a banking system that was weak and collapsing. So what's saving SA at this point in time, and investors are giving SA the benefit of the doubt, as expressed in the market moves. I'm particularly surprised at the bond market performance. It actually declined below 9% on the 10-year note, which is quite surprising. Investors are giving SA the benefit of the doubt because of its institutions.